Hello, buddy. Welcome back to my channel. The next items I'll be working on is going to be for that wedding I built that tree prop for. Now, like I said, they're going with a Viking style themed wedding, so they're kind of looking for stuff that's related to the Viking era and stuff like that. And they did have a couple items that they asked if I could make that was very specific. And the one thing that they wanted to know if I can make, and this is going to be for their backdrop, essentially this is what they're going to be standing in front of during their ceremony, is those three big swords over in Norway. They're in a town called Savar Eiffel, which I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. It's essentially three big swords that are embedded in rock right on the coastline. They represent a war back from 872. The tallest one represents victory. The two shorter ones represent defeat. I'll be working on the tallest one first because it's the most intricate as far as how the handle's done and how the blade is done. Then I'll be doing the other two after that. This will end up being a three-part video because I'll be building each sword individually. And then at the very end of the last video, I'll have them all stood up so you can see the finished product. So I hope you all stick around for all three videos. The first step is going to be to make some templates for the handles on some wood, so this way I can transfer those onto the foam when I start getting to the foam portion. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's see how these ones turn out. All right, so I got the main blade shape refined. You see, I got the the two little indentations in the center. Everything tapers down. I'm gonna have a little bit of refining to do in a few spots, but other than that, nothing major. The one thing you probably saw in the video is me adding that piece of pipe there. I did that for essentially a little bit more reinforcement, just to make sure like it doesn't like crack in the middle somewhere once I get the weight of the handle on top. I also on the edges added some 1/4 inch plywood while I was gluing it together. And what that's for is one that gave me an area for me to take my hot wire and put it against there so I was cutting these tapers. It also gives me a nice solid area for the actual edge here. So if someone hits it or I drop it or something like that, I'm not going to damage my profile on the edge of my blade here. So, but like I said, other than just a little bit of refining here or there, the next step is I'm going to go ahead and put the handle on it so I can mark out where it needs to be so I can start shaping the handguard area. So let's go ahead and get started on that next. All right, so I got that coat on there. I did the best I could with smoothing it out with the brush. You definitely see the brush strokes kind of in it, but hopefully once it dries or as it's drying, maybe it'll kind of level out just a little bit. But overall, I don't think it's going to look too bad even once it's done and it's all painted. I am going to have to let it sit here on the table for the next couple days due to weather. I can't put it outside, so it's just going to have to sit inside here. I'll have a couple fans kind of blowing on it just to kind of help with a little bit of the curing, kind of help dry up some of the excess water I use to smooth it out. So, but once this is all dry, I'll jump back on it. The next step I think is going to be to start painting it. So we'll get back on it later. Okay, so I've applied 2 coats of paint to it. The paint is a slate color. That was the best one that we can match up just using pictures on my phone of what they kind of look like. I try to find ones that were kind of like in the middle of the day kind of pictures to kind of get the best reference of color. The next step is once this is dry to do like some blacks in some areas, especially towards the top of the handle where you're going to have like water collection, dry brush and some white and lighter grays on it. And then a little green towards the bottom because some of the pictures I've seen show a little bit like towards the bottom because obviously you got splash up and stuff like that. So as soon as this is dry, we'll be taking care of that. And then this one will be just about done. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and consider this one to be done. The next step is to get started on the second one, and then I will get started on the third one after that. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. Keep an eye out for the other 2 videos. This will end up being essentially a 3-part series. Each sort will be built individually, and at the very end of the third video, I'll have them all stood up in their respective place to be put on display so you can check it out. As I get each video done, I'll put a link in the description for each video. So if you're seeing this one for the first time, if I already got the other 2 posted, you'll be able to click the links to see the other 2. But like I said, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.